Grace and peace, family. What is the secret? What are the secrets to sexual integrity? Oops, did I say that on YouTube? SEX. I'm going to be speaking in a lot of code, I hope, because, well, this is a touchy topic, but in and out of the church, and especially if you are someone who claims to be someone who is following Jesus, wants to follow Jesus with integrity. What are the keys? What are some keys to operating in a place of integrity in private? And that's really where it counts, right? Because that's the real life, who you are in the dark when no one is looking. But then it manifests, it flows out in public. Family, get ready.
We must face the moment of truth, baby.
I think you're ready for it, to face the moment of truth. 180 Truth. Let's go. Thank you for being here at 180 Truth, and I want to encourage you to come on through to simplyaviance.com, get some fresh gear, help me get a cup of coffee. Simplyaviance.com. If you sign up for the first time, 25% off your first order and free shipping on orders of $100 or more. Please, we are a small business out of Winter Haven, Florida. Come through and support the channel. Support simplyaviance.com. Grace and peace, family. Welcome to 180 Truth.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
I think you can handle the truth. That's why you're here. I am Dr. Norio Chaparro, and I want to talk a little bit about integrity, SEX, integrity. I want to talk about that from a Christian perspective, because maybe you're watching and you're not a Christian, or maybe you're a spiritual seeker. Maybe you belong to another religion or another culture that promotes what we would call SEX purity. Purity that has to do with how we take care of our bodies, our temples, because what we do in this life does echo into eternity, including what we do in the dark. And it's also, when I'm recording this, November usually associated with what's called NoFap, where there is a movement that wants to encourage young men to abstain from gratifying themselves in private using private means, if you get what I mean. It starts with M and ends with shun, and when really corn as well is another word that usually starts with the word P. I know I'm speaking in code, but that's because YouTube just be shadow banning and doing all kinds of weird stuff, and I'm just wanting to share some truths with you today, because at the end of the day, when I came to faith, when I got saved, there was some advice about integrity, about maintaining my direction of my passions. But here's the thing: even when it comes to NoFap, the reality is this: you can say no to something, but it's better to say yes to something greater. There is the thing called, also, that I learned from Dr. A.R. Bernard, the thing of what's called the power of a new affection, the law of the new thing. What do I mean? What do I mean by that? Well, when you want to stop a bad habit, when you want to stop something that's wrong, well, introduce something new, something that inspires you from the inside. Something that will get you going and change the rhythm of your life. To change the rhythm of your life, you have to examine the patterns. And our patterns are usually structured by certain habits. When I came to faith, I had to learn what was called the bouncing of the eyes, because my habits were to look upon a woman and to immediately start undressing, imagining, again, there are different reasons why we engage in those things, but you're raised in a culture that treats people as commodities. When you're treating other people as just something to get or gain, even if it's in a fantasy world, well, I needed to learn certain things like the bouncing of the eyes, or just look away. You don't have to keep looking. I've learned to also pray when I look at people, or when something attracts me that I know, well, listen, as I told my kids when they were younger, not everything that makes you tingle is good for you. I told them that when they were very young, and they were like, huh? Well, they learned it as they got older. They understood it. That not everything that makes you tingle is good for you. Not everything that you're attracted to defines you. So I gave that to my kids at an early age, but I came across this passage a while ago, and I want to share it with you. It's from 1 Samuel, and this is what I call warrior purity. Warrior purity. And I'm speaking especially to my brothers, but guess what, sisters? I know that we all deal with lust. Lust is the desire to get something even if someone else is paying the bill. Lust is getting for ourselves at the expense of others. We want to operate in love and worship, but we have a tendency toward lust, and lust is associated with covetousness. And this is not just rooted in biological desire to mate, a biological desire to experience procreation. That's not what we usually want. What really motivates us with regards to lust, with regards to violating our own temples, our own bodies. What really motivates us often are other things like covetousness and the covetousness of another person to possess them, to gratify ourselves through them, or in the private life as well. When, again, going back to the issue of nofap, the idea of going without shame and shun and pornography, well, guess what? It really, that's the private life there, where it's a substitute for prayer and worship. It's an immediate satisfaction for our longings for intimacy, our longings to deal with anxiety, frustration, or a lack of control. So I've said a lot. Let's go now to the scriptures, the word of God, and an interesting passage that inspired me, and I pray will inspire you to warrior purity. Come on, let's get it. So here in this passage, 1 Samuel 21, verse 5, and David answered the priest, "Truly women have been kept from us, as always when I go on expedition. The vessels of the young men are holy, even when it is an ordinary journey. How much more today will their vessels be holy?" There's a lot going on in this passage, a lot. There is the reality that David is not being forthcoming with the priest. David is on the run from Saul, and so he's lying. He doesn't want to get the priest in trouble with what's going on with him. Now that doesn't pay out at all, but let's continue with the passage, because what he is saying here is true. You say, how do I know that's true? Well, warrior cultures have always held to, well, not always, but many warrior cultures, like the Japanese, the samurai, have held to a certain level of what's called the capacity to have self-control. Extremely important. You even see that historically with certain kinds of anime, where these guys are stoic, you could say. These guys are distant. There's a sense of being focused on the mission. Self-control is something that until recently in our very pleasure-oriented society, in a culture, the Western world, Europe, the United States, America, that really is about how much stuff can I have, how much stuff can I accumulate, how does stuff define me? Well, but self-control is one of the basic lessons a child needs to learn. To delay gratification. And how do you teach a child to delay gratification? Well, at first, there's a measure of threat. There's a measure of, okay, you're going to get in trouble if you do this. But as the child gets older, requires a more graceful interaction, where you're reasoning with the child as to why they can't party during the week, or, well, they won't get their schoolwork done. You develop with them a future orientation. Now, this is about parenting. This is about you and I with regards to our commitment to integrity, but I'm pointing that out because there are so many things that want to say that it's in a man's nature to commit adultery. It's in a man's nature to have multiple women. Those are lies. There are reasons for polygamy. There are reasons for that go beyond just what they say was our nature. No. There's other things that are at play that we don't have time to talk about here. But here in this passage, we see a couple of things that I want to highlight to you, if you are a parent, to teach your young ones, if you're someone who is looking for and desirous of walking in integrity, in sex integrity. Well, what are some of those things to observe? Number one, the call to purpose. Are you living on purpose? David uses the term expedition. They're on a mission. Is your life filled with purpose? If you don't know exactly what that purpose is, there are the purposes of God. The purpose is to be salt and light. The purpose is to share the good news of the gospel. The purpose to become as smart and as capable as you can to defend the faith, to understand how do you respond to people of other faiths. The purpose of you being a mature man, a mature woman, and really working out your gifts and talents and developing yourself physically, going to the gym and so on, and having goals of strength goals and weight goals and having a sense in which you're, okay, how often and how many books are you reading a month? Purpose. The purpose of developing your spirit, man. The purpose of developing your intellect. The purpose of developing your finances. The purpose of developing your health, your career orientation. There are things to keep us out of trouble, and we don't really even have to know completely what is my purpose. But also when we're submitting and being on expedition and mission for God, what is our purpose? He says adventure, and this is about war. Do you understand that you are at war with a world system that wants to destroy you, control you, exploit you? Do you understand you're at war with your own flesh, your own tendency to be selfish and self-gratifying and to be self-centered and to just excommunicate God from your life and use people as just what you as a consumer getting all that you want? And do you understand you're also at war with dark spiritual forces that want to enslave you? How? When you buy into the lies of the world, unclean spirits will attach themselves to those lies. When you indulge in your carnal nature, they come to inspire pride, self-entitlement, and anything to keep you in bondage. They will get you to even look religious just so they can get you to really be in a world mindset and actually be in a flesh lifestyle. So you are at war. You're not just at war with all the other stuff. You're at war with spiritual forces, not just your boss on the job and teachers and people that are haters and envious of you. No, you're at war with spiritual forces that want to destroy you, destroy the image of God in you. Do you understand that even in the ordinary, the mundane is holy? When you're bored, that's an opportunity to activate and live. Okay, ask yourself, what can I do right now to draw closer to the ideal me in Jesus, to the one that God is calling me to be? When I'm bored, can I just be still before God? When I'm doing something boring, when I'm waiting on something, and you know what happens is we tend to want to look for a fix. We want to look for a fix. That's why we go to our phones and scroll all day long, as opposed to say, okay, right now I'm gonna, instead of scrolling mindlessly through TikTok or mindlessly through Instagram, or I'm going to actually be intentional and reach out to someone. I'm going to be intentional and research a particular topic. The ordinary and the mundane is holy if we are worshiping and recognizing that our lifestyle, our bodies are God's temple, and we're worshiping, that our whole life is meant to be different, even if it looks the same as somebody else who's an unbeliever. But guess what? God's presence in our life makes the distinction. We need to practice things that will open our soul to be sensitive to His presence. Band of brothers. It says here, the young men that are with him, my brothers and my sisters. I have noticed that even Christians will give in to mental illness to the degree that they are isolated, that you really have a place where you shut everybody out. Do you have brothers and sisters that hold you in layers and levels of accountability and encouragement? It starts with encouragement, but eventually you're going to have to cross the bridge to accountability, that they're challenging you. They say, well, have you been to the gym this week? Have you been to church this week? And not just viewing online, but have you gone and worshiped? Have you gone to community service? Why don't you do this project with us? Are you building something with others? That's the beauty of being part of the church. Are you building something with others, working alongside of them? Band of brothers and sisters, family, God hasn't called you to loneliness. There's a time and a space to be in solitude with God, to be in silence with God, but you're called to be a life poured out for others, that there are others who need the contribution that you offer because of the uniqueness that God has placed in you. Do you belong to a fellowship a band of brothers and sisters moving in the same direction, desirous of spiritual growth and intimacy with God. And holiness and honor, back to that word holiness, they go together. Holiness has to do with the uniqueness of God, that He is totally other, but also our own sense of being set apart for a divine purpose. Even if you don't know your particular assignment, you don't feel like you're called to something particular, there are levels and layers in which God has called you to do certain things. If you're a man, guess what? You may be running from the calling to be a husband, to be a father. The same thing for a woman, a wife, a mother. You may be running from the calling to be a better son, a better daughter. Holiness again, being set apart for God's use, meaning you're able to stand above the nonsense of this world, to stand apart from it, and you're standing with God and honor. Do you honor your body? Do you honor your time? Do you know how valuable these things you will never get back? Your health, your time, are you fully invested in it? Recognizing that there is a war to steal your time, your talent, and your treasure. Recognizing that oftentimes the best defense is a ready offense. Are you ready to seize the moment to have your affection, your attention fixed on God and the things of God so that you can have warrior purity? Family, as we wrap this up, once again, thank you for being here. Please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. Please share. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you do to maintain your sex integrity. Let me know what advice you would offer or what more you want me to talk on, because I know this was a quick video. I want to share with you this passage, share with you this word to encourage you on integrity. And last but not least, my brothers and my sisters, and especially my brothers, recognize that guilt and shame will keep you in the cycle of slavery to those things that you are guilty and ashamed of. The thing you need to do is every time you slip up, every time you fall, get up and get back into prayer. Get up, get back into a place and space where you're being held accountable. Pray about it. Invest in tools like covenant eyes that will keep you fortified. My brothers and my sisters, and especially my brothers, this is every one of our struggles. We never arrive so long as we are on this side of the fullness of the kingdom. We need to guard our hearts and our minds and commit to warrior purity, commit to sex integrity. Thank you for being here, family. Please, once again, subscribe. Go ahead and hit that notification bell. Share, leave a comment. Thank you for being here at 180 Truth.
Now you know the truth.
God bless.